Hey everyone, and welcome back to this episode of the Escapist Corner. Today we're going to look into the second pillar in the four pillars of health here at Escapist. And maybe you saw the first episode, maybe not. Otherwise, you can look back at that. Today we're going to look into nutrition. And you may be been training hard, like 3 to 5 times a week, but you're not really seeing any results. The truth is that you cannot out-train a bad diet. And it's easy to maybe get distracted and looking at what's kind of pro athletes are doing. Hey, they're eating all these stuff and they look amazing. I have a small secret to you. If you're not somebody who has been training for 20, 30 years, looked amazing your entire life, you probably should not adapt the same kind of ideas of your nutrition as they do. Generally speaking, if you look into performance compared to health, they might also not be the same things. So this episode, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into why the nutrition is an important part in your health and in your life. Because most people think about food as calories. It's just calories in and calories out. And even though calories in some parts matter, they are a hypothesis, and we cannot only rely on those. I want you to think about nutrition more as a symphony, where the calories in and out is more like the volume of the symphony, but it doesn't really tell us about all the instruments that are playing, and also who is telling what instruments to play. And think about this, your body is almost like a nightclub, or let's say this symphony orchestra, and you have certain hormones that tell who is going to get let into this symphony or this orchestra. You're going to have some hormones that tell everyone to come in. You have some hormones to tell some of them to stay out. And this is what the quality of food really comes in, because depending on what you eat, you're going to have different kind of bouncers at the door telling who to get in. And it's not so complicated, but one of the key hormones when it comes to nutrition is usually insulin, because it's one of the hormone that usually regulates all the other hormones. It's one of those dominating hormones. So if insulin is high, it will kind of dominate over whatever one else is doing. So have that in mind. And this is also the main bouncer for the human body. So nutrition is actually more than just fuel. Your every cell in your body is built from whatever you eat. This means that your skin, your muscle, your brains, your hormones, your immune system, everything is created from the raw material that goes into your body. So this means the quality of what you get in is also going to determine the quality of what's going to be built out of it. It's not only about how many calories those have, but it's also the quality of the calories you have, not only the quantity. In one study that they did in a paper called Cell Metabolism, done by Kevin Hall, it showed that in two groups, they had one group eating ultra-processed foods and the other group was eating whole foods. And the calories were actually matched, but the processed group ate 500 calories more per day without realizing it. And the question was why? It's because the processed foods break the body's satiety signaling. So they felt more hungry all the time. And this is not a wonder, because it's low quality food, meaning low quality food, you're gonna crave more food. You need more volume to just get those small bits of quality into your body. It's not about the willpower you have, it's simply the biology behind it and behind your body and what it really needs. And at Escapist, we've seen this happening in many people over the time, and some of these things are pretty surprising, because when you improve your habits when it comes around your food, we've seen people, having change in their skin. They have change in just crazy stuff like stuttering becomes lower because of the reduced inflammation probably. We've seen asthma going down. So people that have been, chronically using asthma machines or medication, they can drop down in the medication or even get rid of the medication. Also, a very common result is that sex drive goes up. It's obviously nothing that people brag about too much, but that's life quality for many that returns. And many might think like, hey, I'm at this age, my sex drive should be low. It's actually mostly connected to your metabolism. It's a very strong signal, or a quick signal for men, is that if your metabolism starts to drop down, your sex drive will start to drop down first. So if you are not waking up, with morning wood and stuff like that, it's already a sign that something is going on with your hormones and your metabolism. And it might be due to nutrition, because nutrition is usually the base of what the cells are built from, and so on. Training will also help that. So at Escapist, we've developed our nutrition habits and programs over the years, but more and more we lean into looking into a long-term change, because many of these habits have been built over years. So it might be possible to change your habits for a couple of weeks and do a challenge and so, but if you really want to change your nutrition habits and so on, it will take a bit longer time, and that is fine. You just need to be realistic, and we want to be realistic with that too, that this is not going to be a 6 weeks program. We actually will need many months to do this, but you will see a lot of results just in a couple of weeks. But still, it is in those dark times, like when you're stressed, when stuff happens, that's when you need the support. You don't need the support when you're like highly motivated and things are going well the first weeks. No, you need it when something is stressful at work, when something happens with the family, when everyone is sick. That's when you really need that support, and that's why you need to set up that support before that really happens. And as soon as you start to build in those habits, it will be way easier in the future to master those kind of challenges by yourself. So we definitely look into that, and we look into also what it does to performance overall. And it's not about like, doing diets for a short period of time, but actually dialing in the things that really work for you. Yeah, it comes down to dialing in nutrition that actually supports your goals. Hormones is an important part of it. How you just feel with whatever you eat, and in combination with the food you eat, is super important. I think anyone that has done anything longer with their nutrition start to realize how much it actually gives them back in their mental clarity. Their sleep improves, their training goes easier, their muscle soreness shortens and stuff like that. So there are many levers, but it's hard for somebody who has never really felt that change before, because it's like the normal that we live in right now is the pain or whatever, and we confuse this with being normal. But you have probably similar experiences where you've done some kind of change, and then like, okay, most people don't understand how it is to be actually pain-free, or how to actually sleep as well, or so. Let's look into a bit of other studies, right? In a 2021 meta-analysis in nutrients, they showed how a high protein diet could actually change many things for you. So why is nutrition such a hot topic, or why is it so difficult, and why are there so many different signals out there? Like why are some people saying this, why some people saying that? I would say it comes from a lot of different reasons, but if we look into studies and so on, the nutrition science is one of the most impacted areas of science that has been fraudulent, meaning there's a lot of problems with just the quality of the studies. There's a lot of problems with the funding of the studies. And it takes you maybe one Google research to just see this by yourself, but a lot of the studies are just fraudulent. This obviously sends out a lot of wrong signals, and there's a lot of people, even brilliant people, that they don't have time to go through the studies and so on. They just need to, they have people that are recommending stuff, and they get these papers or they get these numbers and they just go with it. So classical one is the guidelines from WHO. They typically say that, you know, you should have 0.8 grams of protein or something like that per kilo body weight. And this is ridiculously low, in my opinion. If you have had any kind of experience in training with people, working with their nutrition, this is way too low. And when you start to up that into a higher amount, you're going to see results. And speaking of studies, there's a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that was done 2022, and they had this group of people eating double of that recommendation, so 1.6 gram per kilo body weight. It improved their insulin sensitivity, and it reduced their cravings. Yeah, they lost weight. Also in other studies, like in the diabetes care study, they show that higher protein diets significantly lowered the fasting glucose in people with insulin resistance. This was also very good for people that were already sick. So we should definitely look into how much we're doing. And what you want to do is usually have a base where you go from, where you want to test yourself from and see if you're improving or not. But if you looked into the previous episode or series about amino acids, you will start to understand why the amino acids play such a big role in inflammation, recovery, and food uptake, your mental mood, and all that kind of stuff. You should check those episodes if you want to know more about that and why the protein matters so much, about like how you actually feel and how it regulates many of these metabolic pathways in your body. And obviously one good thing that people connect protein with is like muscle. And the good thing with having a bit more muscle is that this is the main storage for glucose, blood sugar in your body. So if you don't have any muscles, there's no place to go for your blood sugar. So a good thing to have muscles for that reason too. It's like a protective layer. Another reason why it's so confusing maybe for people is that, again, like if the WHO tells us in a study that it doesn't matter where your carbs come from, I think that is ridiculous. Again, it comes down to testing what you're doing. In my own CGM experiment, so I did a blood glucose experiment. So you have this continuous glucose monitor that you put on your arm, and then you can see how your blood sugar levels go up and down. And in doing this a couple of times, I saw that eating a toast gave me a higher blood sugar spike than eating a couple of pieces of chocolate, for example. I saw, for example, that drinking wine was not as bad as drinking beer, for example. And I did a couple of these tests, and I tested with different foods and other foods that did not spike my blood sugar or didn't elevate it too much. And it was interesting to also see how it went up and down, and how I crashed and so on, and how I also felt during these experiments. A bit of a personal caveat to this was like when I ate mostly meat and vegetables, my blood sugar was very stable. I slept very well. My sleep quality was very good. I also looked at my HRV, so that was also very good when I did that. But every time I infused alcohol, toasts and stuff like that, all those kind of things started to go a bit out of whack. Also, maybe a good thing to know is that also when we look into all the products out there when it comes to protein, there's a lot of protein emphasis right now for sure out there. But if you look into what kind of proteins are usually manifested, I'm talking about now, like in the supermarkets, it's like these protein drinks and BCAAs. People confuse this with like having protein. Really, it's not. Like having a BCAA drink has little to do with any kind of recovery. It is more like a soda drink. Drinking too much of that will probably just destroy your teeth and gut, and is probably not advisable. I drink them too sometimes, but I don't think about them as being something that will improve my health or my fitness at all. Again, there are just a couple of the amino acids there. It's a very low volume of it, but it doesn't come with the other EAAs, and it also doesn't come with really the transporters for bringing those into the body. So don't confuse many of these like supplement products, or they're not even supplements, but like sweets and stuff with protein, that they would be effective. Some practical takeaways for you today, what you can do with your nutrition. I think generally speaking, most people can just double their intake with protein, unless you're already like super high in protein. But if you don't know what you're eating for protein a day, you probably should just double it, because you're already probably low. You want to aim for 30 to 40 grams per meal. And to give you a context there, that's about 200 grams of chicken breast per meal. Well, some people might get shocked by that, but it's not so much. Again, eat those first, and then you can add other stuff, and you will see how it feels. You can try that for 30 days, 60 days, and see what happens. Prepare your meals, and I would recommend start with your protein, add the other stuff to it, veggies, fruits, and whatever you want to have, and go from there. See how that kind of mindset can help you. You want to also drink in combination with your meals, in combination with maybe some salts and stuff. Just purely drinking a lot of water is not going to be that helpful. I'm of course not against people drinking water, but I also see people excessively drinking water without anything to it. But if you combine that more with your food and so on, that's actually going to be helpful for the body to be able to take up with the water. Otherwise, you're just going to pee it out all the time. After your meals, if you want to get your blood sugar to go down and into your body, plan to have a 10-minute walk just after your meals. Your blood sugars will drop quickly. You will get the blood sugar into your muscles faster, and a faster recovery, basically. So if you're training, for example. Last caveat is that if you eat 80% of your total food from something that you planned, you will do fine, and you will see a lot of improvement. For those that are really dialed in for like performance, so on, they might need to be even more granular. But generally speaking, if you can keep 6 days a week to some kind of plan, you will do fine. Another tip is that don't do this alone. Do it with somebody you care about, or have a coach, somebody who keeps you a bit of accountable, and this will give you long-term success. Also, you want to surround yourself in situations where you're actually going to be successful. So think about that too. Nutrition is about control. So if you plan your diet and your food, you're not going to be hostage about situations that will pull you into habits that you don't want to have, or fall back into habits that you didn't want to have. So it comes down to a lot of just planning that you do beginning of the week, beginning of the month. Just having those couple of minutes of like looking into what you're going to do will change so much of your future in your habits. If you train, you're going to build your body, but the nutrition is actually what's going to shape it. So if you have any kind of aesthetic goals, it's going to come down to your nutrition. Your training is there to keep your habits. It's there to build your muscles. But again, if you don't eat enough, or you're not having the right quality foods, your training is also going to start to suffer, and the training is not going to be as fun, and your motivation will drop there too. So we need to have this pillar also. So you can measure yourself just quickly by think about like, how do you evaluate yourself from a scale from 1 to 10. Like, is your nutrition a 1 where you have no idea what you're eating, you don't know what to eat, you feel terrible? Or are you a 10 where you're like, I'm super dialed in, I'm seeing the results I want to see all the time, and I enjoy my existence with food and how I look. Thank you for listening to this episode. And again, if you haven't seen the previous one, have a look at that, or you can look at the next one. Hit the subscribe button, and I'm happy to hear your feedback on this episode. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.